Rich Waltz is with us.
Definitely nerding out.
I know. I am a baseball nerd. Rich, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining us.
You're not the only folks that nerd out. These are some of the most fun television productions that I've had a chance to work on in my career. It's awesome. I also do stuff for CBS Sports Network.
Yeah.
They're outstanding as well. But Apple and MLB Network, who are also hand in hand in the production of these, have so many really cool toys. And they shoot, the camera work here is, now why you gotta have to use that picture right there? I mean, come on. There's a better one out there somewhere. I mean, it's like, it looks like I'm sure producers in my ear going, telling me something I didn't want to hear. Like,
there's no buffet. There's no buffet after the broadcast.
Yeah,
right.
Your
flight's canceled. I think was the message there. No, they shoot, and then the camera work is very cinematic. I guess is a good word for it. Just the backdrops, the camera. The Megalodon camera, they call it, that's on the field, that seemingly is on the fields and in the middle of everything. The Apple shows are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It almost seems like it's dramatic the way Apple presents the baseball games, which makes it, from a viewer experience, so much more interesting than your normal everyday Wednesday night baseball game. And do you have any idea what they call it, the Megalodon cam, Rich?
No, but it sounds cool, right?
Fascinated.
I mean, doesn't it sound? It's just. Because it's like I believe it's my fourth year. I kind of ping pong between the two crews, and I remember my first game, and they kept talking in the production meeting about the Megalodon, and I'm like, I got to meet this guy, and it was the camera, and then the game started, and you're like, oh yeah, that is a Megalodon camera. That looks really cool.
Yeah.
So look, it's always fun to drop in. I've been watching the Guardians the last probably 2 weeks, and I was listening to you guys, and I echo a lot of what you've been talking about. I really like this team a lot. The youth, I work in and out of the Seattle market, and so Ryan Rowland Smith, a former pitcher for the Mariners, who's Australian, he and Bazzana are like this tight. He was the guy that kind of helped discover Bazzana when he was 12 years old and started bringing him over to showcase events into the United States. Yeah. He was the guy that called Oregon State up and said, you got to look at this guy. And that's where he ended up going. So got a lot of good Bazzana stuff for the game tonight.
Nice.
I mean, any guy that funds his trip to the United States by selling Big League Chew and sunflower seeds on the black market is pretty dedicated, right? He told a story about Bazzana when he was 12 because they went through the showcase stuff, and Ryan Rowland Smith was part of the group that was there for Team Australia, or the Australian contingent, so to speak. And they did at the end of their run, they did like an exit interview for 12-year-olds. When you like at the end of the season, each player goes in and talks to the big league manager and all that. So they did this with 12-year-olds, and he said all the kids showed up and they were like, "Hey, that's great." And then Bazzana showed up with a notebook and a pen and wrote down everything the coaches said to him, and that really stood out to him. And that's it's funny about that story is you fast forward, I think it was 2022. When Bazzana or 2021, when he was a freshman at Oregon State, two of the Oregon State alums had come back to work out in the winter, Stephen Kwan and Trevor Larnach, who's on the Twins. Both guys, legends at Oregon State. They won the national championship there as well. And Bazzana talked his way into a hitting session with the two of them, and just sat and watched and at the end kind of went through the same process, like an exit interview with those guys, and asked them about, why do you do this drill? Why are you working on this? And even Kwan at the time kind of said to everybody around that Oregon State program, this guy's going to be really, really good. And he was, and he is. And it's fun to see him get his first taste in the big leagues amongst a team that's really young. You guys were talking about the youth. on this team. It's one of the youngest teams in all of baseball.
Yep.
You know, you were talking about DeLauder is 24, Bazzana's 23. I mean, Manzaro's only 25.
Right.
Martinez is 24. I'm looking at the list right now. There's so much to like about this, and I think that the Guardians, to me, have always been an organization that does the most with the least in terms of payroll and resources. And Chris Antonetti and for a long time, Tito, and now Stephen Vogt, all that entire organization just deserves a credit. Always, seemingly in the playoffs. I think it's 8 times in the last 13 years or something like that.
Yeah.
It's remarkable, and they're set up. I think that the Guardians are uniquely set up in this environment over the last year or so, when all the RSNs and the television money has kind of diminished. They, like the Tampa Bay Rays, are the very best at doing this, at drafting, at developing, at bringing young players along. And this team is, they're not sexy on the national stage, but just watching them day in and day out, you see things that like, this will work. I mean, the top of the rotation, I was running numbers on the rotation, and that's, I think if you're going to get to the postseason, it's got to be the rotation. Messick, Williams, and Cantillo combined ERA is 3.05. Yeah. That's a great sign. When you have a top of the rotation that's clicking like that, and obviously you want everybody to, but nobody has that. That's a good start for a team that's in a division that, as you guys pointed out, is imminently winnable for anybody at this point.
Yeah, especially with the Skubal injury and. What you bring up about making the most with less, you're right. The Rays, the Guardians, I'd throw the Brewers in there too, even though their payroll's a little higher. But it is also a source of frustration for fans, because there's been a lot of years where we all are like, just spend a little more, and maybe that could put us over the top, and we could, finally win a championship. Obviously, the money doesn't guarantee anything. Look at the Phillies, look at the Mets, even look at the Yankees, who haven't won that much in the last 25 years. But getting back specifically to this team, you mentioned Stephen Kwan earlier when you were talking about Bazzana. It has been crazy. I mean, he's been absolutely awful. This guy has been one of the better pure hitters in the league for the last 3 years, and his batting average is like 220. His OPS is in the 500s. I'll be interested if you guys talk about that on the broadcast tonight, and what you guys are seeing from the outside perspective as to why he's been so bad, because it stunned all of us this year.
Yeah, Ryan Spielborgs is my analyst. He's really good at that, and so I suspect we'll have a breakdown on that. Watching Kwan, I've always compared him to another left-handed bat, diminutive outfielder, Corbin Carroll, and Kwan is kind of Carroll without the slug. And maybe better on base skills. So Carroll went through a stretch like that with Arizona, where he came back after, I want to say it's the 24 season or maybe early 25, where he was awful, and he couldn't. All of a sudden, he wasn't who he was. Yeah. If this was his second year in the big leagues, I'd be really concerned, but he's got a track record, if you look at it, of doing what he's doing. And oftentimes a player goes through a stretch like this at the start of a season, and it feels like, oh my God, he sucks this year.
Yeah.
But if he goes through that stretch in July and early August, or just July or something, it's like, well, he's hit a wall. Let's see if he can bounce back.
That's fair.
Oftentimes, in this day and age, with the technology and the ability to break down swings, biomechanics, and all of that, the Guardians have smart people in their front office. They have smart people on their coaching staff. My gut tells me that this irons out when you get to June, and in a month and a half or so, he'll be back to being who he is. But it certainly is fascinating. And I'm sure Spilly and the folks in the truck will have a breakdown on what they see swing-wise here now, as opposed to what his swing has been in his career. That's the fun part about these shows, is the resources that MLB Network and Apple throw into this in terms of production stuff. You can pick up the phone on a Friday morning and say, hey, get us Kwan last year, this year. and let's do a fancy breakdown on it.
That's cool.
We did a little breakdown on Kwan earlier. It's really been since the second half of last year where the struggles began, and it's continued to this season. But, Rich, anytime we have a national baseball guy on, I love asking him this question. We talk about Jose Ramirez in the highest of highlights here in Cleveland because he's been the staple, he's been the pillar of the franchise forever. And we'd have all our own individual favorite parts of what Jose brings to the game. From a national perspective, as someone who covers all the league superstars and doesn't see Jose on a day-to-day basis like we do, what's your favorite part of what Jose Ramirez brings to the game of baseball?
Oh, he's just so good, and he's done it. There's debate as to whether people in the lineup around you really help as hitters. I believe that's important. It gives you protection at times. It changes the pitch mix that you see. And in his career, there have been times he's had really good bats in and around him. There have been times that he hasn't, and he's been the same dude. Right, he hasn't changed. I love the fact that he's leading the league in stolen bases. I love the fact that he's 5'8" and he can hit the ball 450 feet, and it's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
5 foot. I mean, he's just such a unique guy, and I love the fact too that it's like he's Cleveland. He's given up money to stay here.
Oh, yeah.
He's figured out that this is where home is. This is where he's most comfortable. He's getting to the postseason with this organization. He may not. I mean, he doesn't jump out when people start discussing nationally, because obviously they start with the Dodgers, or then they'd start with the Yankees or whatever. He's as good as anybody. And if you're picking a team, for a Sandlot game, and he's in the lineup, and you don't know who he is, you're probably not going to pick him. But once you see him play. This is a Hall of Fame player. He's a Hall of Fame player.
Yeah,
and
no doubt.
And the fact that Cleveland fans get to watch him on a day in, day out basis, and will for the next 5 to 7 years, or however long his body holds up and however long he plays. This is a guy that in 15 years, Guardian fans are going to be watching the ceremonies in Cooperstown. And the speech is going to be incredible, and his path. And I went back and looked at the start of his career too. He had trouble getting in the lineup his first 2-3 years here, right?
Yep.
And to be where he is numbers wise, to do what he is day in and day out is, it's awesome. It's like I do homework wise. I like draw up little charts and write little notes and stuff like that. And the biggest headline I've got under him is Hall of Fame trajectory.
Yeah.
And man, that's 7-time All-Star, 6 Silver Sluggers, 6 times a top 5 MVP. Yeah. And that's not easy to do when you're in a market that doesn't get the sexy time highlight, first run on any shows,
That's right.
on any network. He's done it, and he's doing it. And I love the fact that he has everything as a hitter. Plate discipline, power, on base, base hits, stolen bases, all that stuff. Yeah. So anytime I get a chance to do a Guardians game or see him, it's just like, that's one of the things that makes baseball different than all the other sports. Is you can be his size and still be a giant.
That's true.
And he is.
Great point. Rich will be on the call tonight, 7:15 game time on Apple TV with Spilly Goat, Ryan Spilboards.
Yes.
Who works,
Trisha Whitaker's there as well.
Trisha Whitaker.
Find a better picture. Find a better picture, by the way.
Get a better picture. What are you doing, Anthony?
I can send you some if you need them.
I got word from our producer upstairs. He said, sorry, Rich.
We'll all be watching tonight as the Guardians start a long homestand against the Twins. A good pitching matchup. Connor Prielipp is a nice young pitcher for the Twins, too. So it should be a good.
Lefties.
I like
It's lefty night at the ballpark.
Yeah.
And Messick is, Messick nearly had the no-hitter.
Yep.
That's one of the weird things that when you prepare for a game. I mean, Len Barker, 45 years ago, last no-hitter. Yeah. I think 4 times Cleveland pitchers have been able to get to the 9th. Williams did it last year, and were unable to get it. And was it 7 Cy Youngs since mid 2006, 2007?
Yeah.
The pitching talent in Cleveland in the last 20 years has been unbelievable. And that shows you just how hard it is,
How tough it is, yeah.
and sometimes how random it is to throw a no-hitter.
Absolutely. Rich, we appreciate the time, man.
Thanks,
you for
Rich.
joining
Appreciate
us.
See you tonight.
Great
Thanks,
service.
guys. Good
All
luck
right,
to
there
the
you go.
Cavs. That was a tough watch at
God.
the end last
Yeah,
night.
still hurts.
Yeah, we're in
hurts.
pain from that one, too. Thanks, Rich. Rich Waltz from
Yeah.
Apple TV on the call tonight.